Hello and welcome to Model Train Fun. Today we are going to look at the PIKO 55060. This is a measurement car. The idea of this one is not just to run around and look pretty on your layout. The idea is actually it can be a useful tool. So what this one can do for us is it can measure quite a few things on the track. So for example, it can measure track distance, it can measure speed. The distance and speed is shown to you in metric, and the speed is actually shown you in the scale 1 to 87, so you will see the scale speed, so to say. And it can also be changed to US measurement, I should mention. Furthermore, it can also show you the grade of the inclines, and it can show you if you have bank curves, so if you have super elevation. So basically the incline is when you're going up a hill. The bank curve or super elevation is the tilting that a train normally would do in the real world, or the tilting of the track you normally would do in a tight curve. Furthermore, it can show the voltage, and then it says it can show the reactions of a locomotive. It's a DCC sniffer. So the last one I'm not so sure I will be needing too much. The measurement car can be used in three ways. Either standalone, there's supposed to be a display on there, or it can be used by hooking it up to an app or your cell phone, which could be iOS or Android as I understand it. And lastly, it could be connected to a computer as well. However, that's a paid program. I should mention that this is not a sponsored video. This is my own purchase. So let's open it. So here we have the measurement car. Let's take it out of the box. All right. How do we open this? Okay. Here we have it. And as you can see, there's a small slider here underneath for helping with measuring voltage and so on. I believe the doors can be open. Yes. On this side here, that's a black display. On the other side, let's see what we have in here. Here's a couple of buttons in here. Not sure what they're used for, but I guess we'll figure it out. What else do we have in here? Some decorations we can add if we feel like it. I was looking for the manual. So the PIKO has the manual here on the side. So let's see if we can sneak out the manual as well. So what do we have here? Here we have a quick start guide talking about how to set it up. Here we can see what we should be able to see on the display. It talks about how to switch on and off the car and so on. All right. Have some advertisement for PIKO. Have an instruction manual. Let's take a peek in this one. I see a lot in German here. Let's hope there's something in English as well. Yes, it looks like we have English here as well. Doesn't look as nice, the English version. It basically looks at like a translation. So you see here, it also has a built-in Wi-Fi. That's the way you actually connect the cell phone to the measurement car. As I understand it, it can be an access point, which you can see up here. which basically means then you connect the cell phone directly to the measurement car through the Wi-Fi. It can also be connected using station mode, as they call it here, which basically means that you can connect it up to your home network. It talks about here to start the car. It says by pushing the button or by putting it on live track. Let's try and put it on live track. There's an explanation of the icons and so on. All right, let's put it on the track. Excellent. We now have the measurement car on the track. As you see, there's nothing in the display. As I understand it, it wouldn't turn on until we actually turn on the power to the track. Right now I have it in stop mode on the mobile station. So I'm just going to take it out of stop mode and see what happens. Oh, it looks like it came to life. Cool. It speaks German to me, so that's probably the first thing we have to try and change. The display actually looks like it's flickering on the video. In truth, it is not. So in real life, it's actually not flickering. Let's first start and see if we can change the language. As I understand it, we have to change it on the back on a button. In order to change it to English, you actually have to look at the other side. So here I turned it around. It has track power as well. In here you see there's several buttons. The first one is power, the next one is mode, the third one is reset, then it says VLAN, and then there's actually also a USB connector here. You cannot see it now, but you actually have to press the mode button here. Every time you press the mode button, it will change language. I actually had to click through several modes before it actually showed it in English. So let me turn around the car again. As you can see, we now have it in English. So if we look at what do we have on the display, well, it says speed 0.0, it's standing still, so that makes sense. It says distance 0 centimeter. I noticed that the speed is actually in centimeters per second. I believe that's something that can be changed. On the top, there's a set of icons where I believe one of them shows the status of the Wi-Fi. And then we can see there's a battery and it's actually charging. As I understand it, there's a built-in battery as well. So even without track power, it can do the measurements as well. And it's supposed to be able to do that for a couple of hours, I believe. Now, if we just test it out here with the finger, I'm just going to push this slightly and see if something happens. And you can see the speed actually changes. So I guess I was pushing it at about 1 to 2 centimeters per second. And you can see down below, I pushed it 4 centimeters as well. We can try a little the other direction. So it actually does measure in both directions. You saw the speed change. And we saw the distance increase even more. Cool. I'm supposed to be able to change the display as well. If you see here, you can see the black in here is the display itself. There's something kind of a bar to the right and a bar to the left. If I stand it right by touching these, we should be able to change to other settings. And if you look at the bottom here below, there's an arrow. So this means there should be a screen now to the right we can press on, but none to the left because there's no arrow over there. And we're supposed to hold the finger just a little bit. So let me just try that. It did change. And what did we see changed? It actually shows now the speed still, but actually the unit changed. So now it's actually showing the speed in HO scale in kilometers an hour. So if we push it again, I'm just going to push it slowly. I guess that's about 5 to 7, 8 kilometers an hour. We see down below, it's showing the distance now in kilometers instead. All right. Let's see what else we can change it to. It's rather sensitive, or maybe I should say insensitive. So you need to be sure you actually have your finger on there for a while. So now it shows the slope. So it actually claims I'm on a 1.7% incline. It says gear -8. I'm not quite sure what it means, but let's just try and tilt it a little and see what happens. So I'm tilting it like this. So now it says it's on about 8% incline in one direction. I guess there's a minus there. If we tilt it the other way, like this. A good thing the battery is charged, because I actually lifted the slider off. You saw it changed to 8% the other way. And the one below, the 0.3, I suspect it has to do with the banking. So basically whether or not the train is tilted or the track is tilted. So let me just try and tilt it a little backwards like this. And then you can see indeed the number goes out. So now it's tilted 24%, which is probably a little much. Awesome. Let's try and change to the next function. Well, not having too much success with that. Here it says gear, slope. So now it looks like it just reverts the two numbers we had from before. So now the incline is below and the banking is on top. And here it shows the voltage on the track, also a useful tool. So why is this useful? Well, if you're making a larger layout, you can drive around on the track and see how much voltage is actually available. If the voltage drops too low on a Märklin track, or for that matter even DCC and any other layout, then you can have troubles. Then maybe the digital signals won't reach there, and the locomotives won't drive. So it's a good tool to look at. So normally the track voltage is 18, and I believe that's also what my mobile station is showing. But it looks like there's always a loss. Now already a loss, I should say. I don't know how accurate this one is, but it'll be interesting to play with. A loco address, I guess this is the sniffer function it's talking about. I don't have a DCC loco, so I don't know how to try that out. Loco level, not quite sure what that is. And what does it show here? Oh, this looks like everything. So now we can see all of the information at once, but with smaller letters. Speed, distance, speed again. Okay, so the first one is in centimeters per second and centimeters, and now it's kilometers an hour and kilometers. And then you can see the slope as well. And the loco is, if you have the DCC sniffer on, it's also on there. So this is probably a tool for being able to double check DCC locomotives. Cool? All right, now let's try and access the measurement car from our cell phone. So I just opened and looked at the back here with all the buttons, because I'm unsure of whether or not we actually need to turn on the Wi-Fi. However, I did manage to, on my phone, this is an iPhone, I searched for PIKO. Actually, the first thing that came out is the measurement car. So I suppose that's the app we need to install. So let me just pick that app. Okay, I got the app installed. I did that off camera to make sure I don't show any passwords or anything. So let me just open it and see what happens. It starts up nicely. It would like to go to the network. I'm gonna allow it to do that. Connecting to the measurement car. It's thinking about it. Yeah, it probably can't connect to the measurement car because I'm probably not on the right network. So what do? I go to my network settings. Let me go to my network settings. So I go to my settings. And I was already on the network settings. You can see actually I'm on my local network up here, but I need to go to the network down here with the PIKO Messwagen. So let me connect to that one. unsecured network. As I understand it, there should be no password on by default. So let's go back to the PIKO app. Oh, and it immediately jumped in. And in here you can see some of the same functions as we see on the, or we saw on the display before. Speed, distance, slope, grade, look speed, voltage, battery, percentage. I guess that's a battery in the car. At least the voltage looks correctly, and I guess the speed as well. I don't remember the other variables, but I guess we can try and move it again and see if something happens. Yeah, and when we move it, we actually do see that the speed, which is the top number up there, let me just pull it a little down, see that actually changes. We can see the distance changes. So this makes it handy when we can't look at the display to actually see what's going on. And when can't we look at that on the display? Well, if it's driving around, it's pretty hard to see, although it did have big numbers, so we could see it from far away. But what if you go in a tunnel, you go in a shadow station, and so on? So in this case, it becomes very useful to use the app, and we can actually see what's happened. I'm going to try and tilt it again, and you can see the slope goes up. The grade changes a little, probably because I'm tilting it a little sideways. Uh-oh, now I didn't mount it on the track. Okay, it's back on the track. Notice another thing. It says battery 15%. That also means now I can take it off the track. You see there's still power on it. I can turn it around, and we can actually see the display here. So it actually works on the battery power as well. Cool. All right, let's make a drive-by so we can see if we can see the speed is actually on the display while it's driving. I'm not going to drive too fast, so here comes my locomotive first, because we want to have a chance of actually reading what it says on the display. So here comes the measurement car. By the way, the measurement car is finally detailed. And we can see now we are driving at a HO speed of about 6 to 7 kilometers an hour when it drove by. And if you did notice on the display, you may have to rewind on the video, you could also see that the distance changes. Well, let me just go backwards so we can see it. So if you look at the distance below, you can see that also changes. Well, not right now. I guess we haven't driven much of a scale kilometer. Oh, there you saw, it says changed to 031. So it actually does change as well. You see it's still charging. Oh, speed all the way up to 20. Pretty cool. So I built a little test track here. And if you look at the measurement card down there, you can see it's actually black, the display. So it seems like if the measurement car is not moving and if the track power is off, it will actually turn itself off, which is really, really handy. And do remember, it could keep on showing stuff and have the display on because it got an internal battery pack. But it does actually detect there's no incoming power, so I'm probably not needed anymore, so let me turn it off. Let me go out of stop mode again so we get track power back on and see if it actually starts up again. And yes, indeed, we see it start up again. Cool. And now we see that the display is ready. I'm checking whether or not the Wi-Fi is ready. And as you can see, yes, I could go to the Wi-Fi. Let me just find the app again. It's here. It says connecting, and we got full connectivity again. Now let's try and drive on our little test track and see that something actually happens. Yes, indeed. It does change here, and we can follow it around on the track. So this is where it becomes a handy tool. It can actually measure different things on the track, the slope, the grade. Right now I'm looking a little at the voltage to see if I got a continuous voltage all the way around. You see it's 17.345 over here. If I keep on driving around, yes, the voltage is indeed stable. Also what I would suspect from a very small layout like this, especially with the C-track that's made for high conductivity and actually made for digital operations, right? So we see it looks nicely, excellent. Now the little siding you see over there actually has no power. So now I'm gonna try and back the measurement car into this one and see if it actually detects this. So imagine you're testing your layout, you're driving around with your measurement car, and then it would actually be able to detect a drop in voltage. This is a total loss of voltage, but you can see something interesting happened, but it doesn't get power out there, and now you see it goes to, well, 0.1. I don't guess you can't get any closer to 0. So this is where it can become a really useful tool. You can see if the track power drops, let's say it drops to 15, 16, then you're probably in trouble with your locomotives. To be quite honest, maybe even a little higher you could be in trouble. And that's how you can use it. I can try and drive it out again. Now I don't know if it went in standby mode, so it didn't. So you see we actually immediately got the voltage back, and we can see all the parameters here as well. Cool. Let's just have a slight peep at the app and what it can do. So we have all the values here that it shows. At the top here, there's a couple of buttons, and then there's a configure button. If we go into the configure button, we can see the configuration of it. We can up here change the unit format if we want to. And you see we can change to US. I'm not going to do that. I prefer metric. We can also handily see the address here of the measurement car. As I understand it, we can actually turn on and off the display using the DCC address. Here's the sniffer address. I'm not quite sure what that auto detect is. You can see the dates. It looks like we can calibrate the car. It looks like we can reset the distance. So if we look at the distance right now, it's 1.22 kilometers. Let's try and hit that one. I want to reset, yes. Okay. And we see that it actually got reset to 0.0. Awesome. Let's go back in the app here. I see there's two buttons up here, and they're actually really handy. You saw I was struggling a little bit with the touch screen before. So right now it says speed. If we click on this one, and I don't know if I can make it look at the C, it actually changes. It says slope, now it says gear, and so on. So actually you can control what's on the display directly from the app. Extremely handy. So what do I think of this measurement car from PIKO? Well, first of all, I'm actually impressed with the many measurements it has. It has distance, speed, incline, bank curves, voltage, the DCC sniffer. To me, they all seem like useful tools that I can imagine myself using. It has a nice LCD display that's actually crisp and clear. It was hard to see in the video, but you can actually read it from afar, so very nice. It has an internal battery and Wi-Fi. Those two things actually make the measurement car very handy and practical together with the measurements. To me, I kind of get the feeling they thought about how would it be used, what would the railroad modeler actually need in order to assess his layout and or locomotive. I'll have to say though, I didn't investigate the DCC sniffer, so that must be for another time. One thing I'm very unsure of is what is the accuracy of the measurement car. How accurate is it when it measures distance or the banking and so on? Well, time will tell, but all in all, I really like it. It's a useful tool with many measurements, it's practical, and it's well made.